Hey gun peeps! What's I haven't done a video in a while out here because between the heat and the sun and everything else that's going on. For the new viewers, this ain't freaking Starbucks, so shut up. Rick, you can't tell your audience to shut up, you big dummy. Alright, so I'm just going to kind of go all over the place here and get a few things done. Chucky sent me the shirt. I thought I wore this in another video, but I don't know if I did or I didn't, so I want to make sure and wear it. Chuck from the Facebook page sent this to me. I don't know where he got it made. I don't know if he's selling them. I don't know if somebody wants to contact him on the Facebook, Think Like a Cop. That's fine. Chucky, I wore your shirt. Quit giving me shit. So, let me go over a couple things on this last video. Shooting of the two Pennsylvania troopers went out. There's some information that I got wrong. I know everybody's pointing it out. They love, he's wrong. Rick don't know what he's talking about. Whatever. All right. So evidently what I'm hearing, and again I don't know if it's true or not. I'm just going by what I'm hearing. I looked around for an article. I couldn't find it. Some people said they read an article. The gun that they found on the ground that the officer ended up clearing was the backup gun of the big officer. I also heard it was a backup gun of the little officer, but if it was a backup gun of the little officer, he wouldn't have cleared his own gun. Maybe he did. Again, some people were saying I'd have thrown it over the fence. I would have thrown it too, probably. I just want to get it out of the fight zone. Not saying that the fight zone can't change. I mean, that's the problem when you're dealing with unknown, and everybody's got all these great suggestions on you shoulda, you coulda, you didn't, why didn't you, and your training, and I mean, in chaos, controlled chaos or uncontrolled chaos, whatever you want to call it. What's the old chaos theory? A butterfly flaps his wing in Africa and causes a tornado in Texas because the dust goes up and causes stampede. The stampede causes, well, I don't, look it up. It's not there. There's a chaos theory that all things affect all other things. So when you're in a chaos situation like that, throwing the gun may sound good, and that's probably what I would have done just because it gets it out of the fight zone, but there's nothing that says the guy can't get away and instead of running to the car, run to where you throw the gun and find it. But again, that gives you time. And I always talk about distance and time. Hopefully we're going to get some rain here, so it's a little cloudy. Getting a little reflection off sun, but the wind's not too bad, and it's kind of nice out. So you can probably hear me without somebody complaining about the wind. Rick, why don't you stay on topic? Shut up, you big dummies. My video, if I want to jump around, I'll jump around. So, when you're in a chaos theory and you're thinking, you do things that make sense, but you do things that will give you an advantage of time. Time is either distance or reaction. And those are the things that you're trying to enhance on your side because you're already reacting, so you're behind the power curve. But once you act and you're in the fight, now you've got to start thinking about what's going to give me more time. If I throw the gun over here and he has to go chase it, now I have time. That gives me options. I can either chase him, I can go for my wind's picking up because the wind ain't been blowing out here for jack, and now I'm out here videotaping the wind's blowing. I'm going to hear somebody, you can't hear you. So when you're looking for time and you're trying to, and I'm throwing a gun, if this guy goes after the gun, that gives me time. I have choices. The more I have choices, the better decisions I can make. I can chase him. I can draw my gun. I can choose not to chase him and seek cover. I can reload. I can get behind a cover. I can get on the radio. I can disengage completely. There was a couple of people in that video, and I'll put a, if I can remember, I can't even remember to put a link in the original video. If I can remember, I'll put a link in the video of the video I'm talking about in case somebody didn't see it. YouTube probably take it down soon. I'm really thinking there's a couple sites that will download all my videos to their site. And I think I got to get out of YouTube, man. I'm sick and tired of every time I wake up. Every time I turn on YouTube, I got anxiety. I'm like, am I going to get that pink screen of death of, you got another strike. We're shutting you down. Your videos are gone. I mean, it's just this constant left-wing attack. But I digress. So, I'll put a link on the video if I can remember. But this video was a great learning opportunity, not to pick on the cops and say cops are stupid, and people are going to use it for that, And not to say this gun is better than that gun and he should have reloaded and he should... Look, clearing a gun in the middle of a fist fight just didn't make no damn sense to me. I mean, I would have rather the dude, instead of taking time clearing it, tell the other guy, get off him. I'm giving his gun back. Let's shoot this guy and be done with it. I mean, that would have been more reasonable than sitting there trying to clear a gun. Somebody made the comment, and I'm kind of going through some of these comments that I remember sticking in my head, that the little guy, the smaller of the two, there was the big guy, somebody called him Lurch, and then the little guy. The little guy didn't want to go, it didn't seem like he wanted to go hands-on. He was always trying, he's got his taser in his hand, and then he wanted to go clear the gun, and then he wanted to do things instead of going hands-on and disabling this dude and getting in some throat punches, TMJ. I always talk about that TMJ where the jaw meets right here, right below the ear. If you aim for the bottom of the earlobe, you're going to hit that TMJ. That's your target area. If you miss, you get the throat, you get the carotid artery. You know, there's the single chop that you can, if you hit this just right and break the blood from going to, it'll knock you out. So there's a lot of things that this area is a good target area. Most people want to go to the face and jaw, and that's not really the best. The noses are good, the eyes are good, but this TMJ, especially when you're up close, because remember, when you're throwing a punch, distance is your friend. I mean, I know everybody wants to remember the old Bruce Lee movie. He did the 1-inch punch. He gets 1 inch from somebody, he punches them and knocks them down or knocks them out. The 1-inch punch is not that good because you don't have a lot of, you know, you punch from 1 inch versus 1 foot versus 2 foot to where you get your hips, legs, and weight into it. You're going to get a much stronger punch here than you are here. But when you're up close, you can get pretty good punches with your hip by doing these bottom fists or palm heel strikes. Palm heel is here, bottom fist is here. And these are very good blows, especially when you're going to the side of the jaw. I can really get in there. If I'm up close to you and we're close, I can get a great punch to the side of your jaw there very quickly with a lot of force, because I'm not just doing this, I'm actually torquing my body, getting that twisting and winding up and then a corkscrew out. It just happens very quickly, and I get that good strong punch to here. And I can do it with either hand. I can't do it with this hand, but I can really just drive my punches back and forth and just work both those jaws. So I've been in a lot of fights, so I'm more into, you gotta disable, you gotta get in that guy's face and throat area and really go to town. And you gotta go quick and fast, and you gotta disable and knock him out or disorient him so much that you take the fight out of him. Kind of like when that officer took 4 bullets, the big guy that went over the rail. He took 4 bullets, and when you saw him climbing over that rail, he was out of the fight. Has a bad guy, let's switch terms here. Let's make the 2 cops bad guys, and let's make the bad guy a good guy. Let's say the bad guy is being mugged by these 2 big dudes with guns, and they're going to beat him up and take his wallet. And he fights them off, gets to a gun, and defends himself and takes out both targets. Dude's a freaking hero. I mean, I know people are going to come here and try to turn that around. He's a hero because he shot. I'm not saying that, you freaking idiots. I'm saying if you switch scenarios and make the 2 cops bad guys and make the guy, his tactics, his will to survive, his will not to give up, his will to get to his gun and engage his adversaries, freaking brilliant. I mean, he did great. I don't know if he had more training. I don't know if he was a military. And you know what? Everybody wants to kind of throw that out there. Oh, he had military training. Look, I know guys in the military who are as tactical as a freaking marshmallow. I mean, they just got no idea of tactics. And they were in the military for 20 years. So, just because some guy's a vet doesn't mean he was tactically trained, tactically sound. He took his training seriously. He implemented his training. He practiced his training. He remembered it, and it becomes second nature to him, and he does it. Just because a guy's in the military, I mean, everybody wants to always go, oh, that guy's got military training. If he looks good and he looks like he took out but people are like, oh, he's got military training. But if he looks like an idiot, nobody wants to say, oh, he was in the military. So don't get caught up in that. He's trained, he isn't, he needs more training, he doesn't have enough. A lot of this is mindset, will to live, stay in the fight, don't give up. Somebody asked, why do you want to stay in a fight? You know a guy's trying to kill you, etc. Want you to just leave. You can do that. You can, and a lot of women do that. They'll get in a car and they'll leave. They'll run away. Women cops. Got a crazy cop story. She pulled up. Cop was in a shootout. Instead of helping him, she put her car in reverse and left. And they praised her for knowing her limitations. So people do that. I think it's BS. I don't think you ought to be a cop if that's your mindset on how to deal with violence, because being a cop, you're going to deal with violence. And you got to be able to engage it. Back when men were men and allowed to be men and not, you know, deballed because they had testosterone or because they liked going fast in cars or driving motorcycles or taking risk, back when men were okay, it was okay to be a man, that was kind of the norm. But now it's becoming more and more, and that guy that wanted to hang on to the taser, didn't really want to engage, wanted to clear the gun and be a safety Sally, he was probably of a younger generation and probably brought up about, you don't want to kill anybody. Maybe he was thinking about, you know, the race issue, because cops, I tell you, cops do not go out there and say, I want to shoot or arrest a black guy today. They just don't do it. However, cops do go out there, and when they deal with black people, they know, here we go again. I cannot deal with a black guy unless they're hollering racism. No matter what I do, no matter how right I am, this guy's going to holler racism, and I'm going to end up defending myself, so I better tread lightly and be careful. And that causes hesitation. It causes lag time. It causes decision process to be slowed. All those things are bad, but I mean, it is what it is. You got to work within what your, you know, the limits of your job is. I mean, there's a lot of people like, man, I'd have shot him as soon as he did this, and man, as soon as that I would. You do that because you haven't been drilled through the academy and through your FTO and through sergeants writing you up for being too aggressive and being called on the carpet, and you've got a couple write-ups because a couple people complained about BS, and some sergeant didn't like you, so now he said, oh, you know what, I know it's BS, but I'm going to write you up anyway because I don't like you. And now it's in your jacket, so now everybody you deal with, you're like kit gloves, and you're worried because you know they're waiting to get you one more time so they can either fire you, demote you, or promote their friend into your position. There's all these factors in cop work that people just don't get, and they come out here and they think they know everything because they watch a video or because they went on a ride-along, and it just doesn't work. So I wanted to discuss that video. I also want to discuss, I ordered some of these tourniquets. It's pretty good. Amazon got 3 of these, I think for like 12 bucks, I can't remember. I'll try to splice in a link to it. I think they're pretty nice tourniquets. They're pretty easy to use. It's got a nice little twist stick. Somebody's going to come here. That's called a leverage and shut up, you freaking dummies. They know what I'm talking about when you put on a tourniquet and you twist it to tighten it. So it's a pretty good little tourniquet. It comes with 3, so I can keep one in the car, I can keep one in my little med kit, and I can keep one in my grab-and-go bag or my shit at the fan. You know, I need something quick. So if you want to get these, they seem pretty good, and the reviews are pretty good, and I've put it on, taken it off, and messed around with it a few times, and I'm like, you know what? It seems pretty reasonable. And I think I could probably use this. If I use it on somebody, I could wash it up and keep it, and it would still work, and use it again and again. Some of them, after you use them once, they're kind of cheap, and they won't work, or they may not work as well. This one seems like you can get most, not that you're going to use them. I mean, in reality, if you're putting on a tourniquet, shit's gone bad, it's hit the fan, and you're probably not going to either see the tourniquet or the guy once he goes to medical or whatever you're doing. But in a shit hit the fan situation where medical supplies are hard to get, these could be reused. If you got a guy back at your camp, you doctored him, he got help, or he died, you could take it off and use it again. Rick, you shouldn't use it. Shut up, you big crybaby, pink panty wearing. All right, so I talked about that. Talked about the video. What was a couple other comments that I thought was kind of interesting in that video? I mean, look, that video was just, and the cops agreed to do, I wanted to cover kind of some things that people said about it. Yes, the guy was caught. They caught the guy, he went to trial, he was found guilty of a bunch of felonies, although I don't think he was found guilty of DUI. Rick, why did they let him? Because they just went, screw it, we've got him on 14 other felonies, screw the DUI. So, and they do that all the time. If you commit 50 crimes, they're only going to charge the 4 or 5 worst serious, the most serious. So they charge him, and I think his trial is the end of this month is when his sentencing hearing is. He's going to go back to get sentenced. So how much will he get? I don't know. I think he should get LWOP. LWOP is life without parole. LWOP. Somebody's going to come here and try to make that a racial. You can't say WOP. That's a shut up, you freaking rainbow curtain YouTube cubicle idiots. All right. So I digress. So the guy was caught. He's being sentenced. The cop lived that got shot 4 times, even though they've had to induce a coma, and I think he died. He put a tourniquet. Somebody said he put a tourniquet on himself, saved his life. Died on the way to hospital. They brought him back to life, and then they put him in a coma, I think for 25 days, induced a coma, and he ended up living. So both cops lived. Are they still working? I don't know. Are they going to live with this incident forever? Absolutely. And how are they going to deal with this? Look, everybody deals with things differently. One may be very paranoid. One may become really pacifist. One may become more aggressive. One may become super nice and never want to use force again. One may carry 3 guns now, and the other one may not want to ever touch a gun again. So hey Moki, come say hi to YouTubies. So, you know, how this incident's going to affect them long term and how it affects. That's why when people are talking and as I would do this and I would do that, I understand some of it is just kind of, that seems reasonable. If I'm in that situation, this is what I'm going to do. But it's not reasonable when you're in it, because especially if you're a cop and you're trying to work within policy and not get fired, and you know you're on video, etc., etc., versus if you're a civilian and you're just like, I don't have all this training, all I want to do is live and get out of this, so I gotta go. And again, use of force is different between cops and civilians, and it doesn't mean that because I'm a civilian I can do things because I have police training and experience that you may not be able to do, and I can justify it. But then again, because I have this training and experience, it can be used against me, because they'll say, you know what, you're not some citizen who never knew anything. You've had training and you've done that, so you did this on purpose and you ignored your training. So it's a double-edged sword when you get training and not training, because when you get training, it can either be used to help you in certain situations, or it can be used against you because you didn't use it, or you didn't use it correctly, or you had it and you ignored it. So, you know, for all the people that are hollering, more training, go to training, you know, all those things can be yin and yang, and all good there's some bad, and all bad there's some good. So be aware of that. Just because somebody's a vet, just because they've had training, just because things worked out good and it's a positive image, versus, you know, if you're getting crap training out there and some idiot trains you to do something stupid and you go do it, or you listen to green screen and you go to court and go, well, I was watching this guy on YouTube and he told me I should do this, and he's a martial arts expert, was in the Navy, and has 2 million subscribers on YouTube. That ain't gonna hold no damn weight. Nobody cares about what he's saying. If you go in and say, I watched this guy who was a certified expert in court, he's testified in state and federal courts, he's trained cops, he's taught at a police academy, he was an FTO, and he said this, that may hold a little more. I mean, unless they get me in there to verify what I taught and what you did and what I said in this video, it could or could not help you. It may hurt you, because if you say, well, Rick said I should do the pinky toe takedown, and if it didn't work, I should kill him. Well, then you're going to have to prove that I said that, and then even if I did say it, and even if you call me in, is the jury going to say, is it reasonable that you're running around on YouTube and taking everything that everybody says as if it's gospel? Is it reasonable? Again, that reasonable standard will always come into play. So everything you do needs to appear reasonable, thought out. You have to be able to justify it, articulate it, explain it. That was a great video, and I'm sure YouTube's going to start squashing it and trying to delete it. So if you want a copy of it, make a copy. I've got so many videos. Sometimes I forget to copy them. Sometimes I copy them and I put them in a folder and I delete that folder. I mean, I was going through my YouTube videos and I saw these videos that were deleted. And I'm like, crap, wish I had a copy of that so I could do it. And somebody made copies of all my videos and sent them to me. And I've got it on a nice disc. And I think some of them are uploaded to my channel, but some of them YouTube's deleted and I don't have copies of them, and I'll never get them back. And I mean, I think these things are great educational, historical, something to fall back on why you did what you did. If you are really basing, and you think a video that you watch, whether mine or anybody else's, and you think it absolutely reinforces the way you believe and the way you would act, I would have a copy of that. And you can understand that. Again, is a jury going to say getting your training on YouTube is reasonable? I mean, I could argue either way. I could argue that, look, YouTube is a great free information sharing. You have a lot of people with a lot of training and experience. It's a great fact finding. You can find out how to disassemble a nuclear weapon on YouTube. So to say that it's invalid and you can't learn anything and you can't believe anything and everything on YouTube is BS, that's not reasonable. So I could argue either way. The other side, I could argue any freaking idiot can sit up here, and if they got good editing and good screen capabilities and good cut-in, they can sit up there and talk like they're an expert and get people to believe them, and they don't know what the hell they're talking about. So I can make the argument either way. Again, what's a jury going to say? Is a jury going to say that was reasonable or not? Remember, you don't always have to go to a jury. You can go to a judge. And the old theory, if you know you're innocent, take a judge. Because the judge knows everything. The judge doesn't worry. He rules on what evidence is suppressed. The jury never knows. When the DA goes in there and gets something squashed and goes, I don't want the jury knowing this, it's prejudicial and it will make them, and it's not fair, and blah, 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 and it will hurt my case, the judge can go, okay, jury can't hear that. They'll never hear it. Guess what? If you have a judge doing your trial, he heard it. He knows it. You can't unring that bell. He may go, yeah, I'm not going to consider that when I make my decision. But you ain't unringing that bell. So if you have a good case and you're innocent, the theory is go for a bench trial. Have a judge do your trial. You can say, it's your right to say, I don't want a jury, I want a judge to decide my fate. Or, I don't want a judge, I want a jury. And you can pick less jurors. I mean, if I want to go in there, I don't need to say 12. The law say you're required to have 12 if you want it. But you can say, I want a jury trial with 3 people. That's not smart, because if you're going with a jury trial and you got 3 people, you only got to convince one to vote not guilty. The odds fall. Versus if you have 12 people, you only got to convince one to vote not guilty to get a hung jury. So, you know, have I seen people pick? Yeah, some people go, I don't need 12 juries, I'll take 6. You know, I'll take whatever, 3, 4. I mean, it's not smart, and if they're using any kind of common sense, they won't do it. Most lawyers won't do that, but people representing themselves may be, you know what, I'm going to pick 3 good jurors that I like, and I'm okay with them. And you know what? It may work, it may not. If and buts coconuts. All right, so that's that is a video. I don't know what the hell I talked about. It is what it is. Y'all have a good day, and we'll see you on YouTube.